Jacob was just a child, homeless, hungry, but still full of hope. Suddenly he spots something near the swing set, a wallet lying on the ground, almost too perfectly placed. His eyes light up as he picks it up, curiosity filling his innocent face. "Mom, look what I found." What Jacob didn't know was that this wallet wasn't lost by accident, and inside it held enough money to solve all their problems. But this wasn't just a lucky find. It was a carefully planted test by someone watching. And what happens next will push Melissa into a situation no one could imagine. Before we dive into what happens next, let's go back to the beginning, where the struggle began. Melissa stood at the gas station, hands trembling as she stared at the empty fuel gauge of her car. She had just enough to get home, but nowhere else. Her son, Jacob, sat in the back seat, humming to himself, unaware of the crisis they faced. "Mom, are we going to McDonald's today?" he asked, his eyes filled with hope. Melissa swallowed the lump in her throat. "Maybe another day, sweetie," she whispered, though deep down she knew they couldn't even afford that. Her phone buzzed. She picked it up, heart racing, praying it was the call she had been waiting for. "No," she muttered. "Just another bill collector. The rent was due tomorrow. Her car was at risk of being repossessed, and their food supply was running dangerously low." Later at the park, Melissa sat on a bench, watching Jacob play. Her mind raced, calculating every dollar she had left. Rent, gas, food, none of it added up. She felt trapped, suffocating in her own thoughts, wondering how they would make it another day. Suddenly, Jacob came running toward her, breathless, excitement in his eyes. "Mom, look what I found." He held up a wallet, sleek and bulging with cash. Melissa's heart skipped a beat. She opened it, her fingers trembling as she flipped through the bills. $5,000. The exact amount she needed to cover their rent, gas, and maybe even get ahead for once. Her mind raced. This could solve everything. "Mom, we can get food now. We can keep our home," Jacob said, grinning ear to ear. Melissa stared at the money, the temptation flooding her. "Where did you find this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Over by the swings," Jacob said proudly. "It's ours now, right?" Her eyes darted to the ID inside the wallet. Someone else's name, someone else's money. The right thing to do was clear, but so was her desperation. Second loop. Will she return the money or give in to temptation? That night, Melissa sat at the kitchen table, staring at the wallet. Jacob was already asleep, curled up in a blanket on the floor of their near-empty apartment. Her rent was overdue, the utilities were about to be cut off, and her car was days away from being repossessed. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from her landlord. "Final notice. Rent due tomorrow. No exceptions." She dropped her head into her hands, feeling the crushing weight of her reality. She needed this money, but deep down, she knew what she had to do. "We can't keep it," she muttered to herself. She knew there was an address on the ID, just a few blocks away. Despite everything, she was going to return the wallet. The next morning, Melissa and Jacob stood outside a luxury apartment building, their hearts pounding. Melissa hesitated before knocking on the door, her palms sweaty. The door opened, revealing a well-dressed man in his mid-50s. "Yes?" he asked, his brow furrowed. "Hi, my son found your wallet in the park," Melissa said, holding it out to him. The man's eyes widened in shock. "My wallet? You actually found it?" His gaze flicked between the wallet and Melissa's worn-out clothes. "Yes, sir," she said, her voice shaky. "We wanted to return it." The man invited them inside, offering them water. As they sat down, he studied them for a moment before asking, "Why didn't you keep it? You look like you could use it." Melissa hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. But then, the truth spilled out. Because it's not ours. We're struggling, yes. But that doesn't mean we should take something that doesn't belong to us. I'm trying to teach my son the value of honesty. The man listened quietly, then leaned forward. "Did you ever consider keeping it?" Melissa looked down, ashamed. "Yes, it crossed my mind," she admitted. "But I couldn't do it. No matter how hard things get, I need to be someone my son can look up to." The man smiled. "That's exactly what I was hoping to hear." He stood up and walked to a large bookshelf, pulling out a file. "You see, every year I drop a wallet with cash in it as a test. My name is Charles Walters, and I'm the CEO of Walters Enterprises. In 19 years, not a single person has returned it. Until today." Melissa's mouth fell open. "What? You mean this was a test?" Charles nodded. "Yes, and you passed. Your honesty has restored my faith in people." He handed her a set of keys and a folder of documents. "This is the deed to an apartment. It's yours now. And the money in that wallet? Consider it a gift." Melissa was speechless, tears streaming down her face. You can't be serious. I don't understand." "I've seen enough people take the easy way out," Charles said. "But you showed me that there's still good in the world. You and your son deserve a break." Jacob looked up, confused but excited. "Mom, we have a house now?" Melissa nodded, unable to contain her tears. "Yes, baby, we have a home." A few weeks later, Melissa sat in her new apartment, watching Jacob play with toys she could finally afford. The phone rang. It was a job offer, one she could finally accept with a clear mind. Jacob ran over and hugged her tight. "Mom, are we going to be okay now?" Melissa smiled through her tears. "Yes, sweetie, we're going to be more than okay." The video fades to a black screen with a message. Honesty doesn't just shape your life. It can change it forever. In a world full of temptation, always choose the path of integrity. You never know when someone is watching, and you never know what rewards await. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Remember, even when life gets tough, always stay true to your values. We'll see you in the next one.